Hello, today is the first episode of the RBC TV podcast. Today we have a very special guest, the creator of RBC, Jonimester. We have a few questions today for John. So what made you originally create RBC?
I originally created RBC in 2018 because I felt like there were no news games that I could play. The only ones were just copies of BBC News, and there were a lot of free models from that. The first version of RBC launched in December of 2018, then under the name GNN. It was very basic. It was just one news studio, and barely an office, but at least it was different from the BBC games. From there, it evolved to the game we have now.
Very interesting to know the history of the game we all know and love. So when you created RBC, did you ever think it would reach 20,000 visits?
I never could have imagined that RBC could get 20,000 visits. I had hoped for 1,000 and felt really lucky when we got 2,000. The game had been blowing up in my mind at least for the past few months. I felt like it was yesterday that we were celebrating 10,000 visits. Since we reached 20,000, we have actually reached 350 more visits, and that is all in a week. It's really overwhelming, and I'm so happy that people are enjoying our game. I can't express enough how proud I am of the game and everyone who works on it.
Very interesting. So where do you see RBC in 1 year?
It's very hard to say where we will be in a year, although I think that in 1 year RBC will be totally different from where we are now. We are moving our main game to multiple games that will all help us in reducing lag, as well as it will give us the possibility to make more sets and studios. We have gained so much more staff the last 3 months, and I think that we are now around 9 employees, which is crazy. With all of this new staff, we can change our focus to the production of some of the shows we are making at RBC, for example, the new Workplace Wonders. We never would have been able to make that a year ago. I honestly doubt that we could have made it 3 months ago, so it is almost impossible to say where we will be in a year.
Wow, I sure can say I'm excited to see where RBC goes in a year. So if you could be remembered for one thing, what would that be?
I remember very well when I got a message from Ryan in December of last year. At the time, ERBC kind of just was there. I updated it maybe every 6 months and didn't really care about it that much. But when Ryan messaged me saying that the game was so underrated, I knew I had to do something about it. Together, we tried advertising the game, and we made groups for the game as well as some videos, and it all worked. We got more visits December of last year than we have ever gotten over the last 15 months combined. So the thing I remember the best is without a doubt the day I saw that message.
Very interesting. If you could live anywhere in the world, where do you think you would choose to live?
I would definitely want to live in New York or London, as they are both the news media capitals in the world. Also, just the cities are amazingly good looking, at least from images, am I right?
For sure, very cool choices. If you got $10 million, what would you spend it on?
If I won $10 million tomorrow, I don't really know what I would do with it. I would probably buy a Volvo, as it is my favorite car, and probably give some to charity, and then I would probably just keep the rest to sell.
Very cool. In your opinion, what is the most important personality trait or strength someone would need to work at RBC?
If you want to work at RBC, I would say that it is important to have an interest in television, media, and news production. That is the most important thing. If you have that, you should definitely apply for a job at RBC if you want to work here. Of course, you need to be able to work from time to time, but other than that, the desire to work here is the most important aspect.
Awesome. Well, for our last question, what time of day do you get most or your best work done?
I get most of my work done for RBC in the afternoon when I'm done with school. I often work on it around the weekends if I can, but it can be tricky working on it and trying to do well in school all at the same time. I try to both as well as I can.
Awesome. I want to thank you for doing this interview, and thank you to everyone for viewing our first podcast episode, hopefully of many